So Dad, what are we sowing now?
So today we're going to do onions, main crop onions, and so it's nice to start these nice and early, kind of February time. And I like to sow them 3 or 4 seeds to each of these module cells, and hopefully 3 or 4 will germinate, ideally 3, because I think 3 seems to provide the best balance of kind of size, so you get medium-sized onions but you get a really nice big yield. And we're going to sow them about 1 centimetre deep. So again, we just want to firm this compost down and refill.
Okay, so we're putting them in 1 centimetre deep.
Yeah, I just use my fingernail.
Okay.
So when you sow these, I like to just pick a pinch between my fingers and then just roll my fingers until I get 3 or 4 in. And if you get just a few too many, it's not a problem, because you could go up to 5 seeds in here with no issues. So although I'm looking for a sort of average of 4, if I got the odd few with 3, it would be no problem. So just cover those over and smooth them in, and we'll give them a really good water.
So where do we store these now, Dad?
So onions, they germinate over a really wide range of temperatures. So, sort of right down to sort of 5 degrees to mid-20s. So you can pretty much germinate if you want. I like to germinate them about 18 degrees.
So Dad, why have we brought these from home?
Well, these now, they're about, I don't know, probably 10 days old, something like that. They're just starting to germinate. And, this time of year, sort of March time, it's nice really, I think, to get them somewhere bright and cooler. Because if they were sort of in a house, there's not enough light, and they do just tend to sort of get really leggy and floppy.
Okay.
But in a nice cool place, they grow slower. So, yeah, perfect timing.
So are these the onions that we planted last month?
No, these are the ones we started back in February, beginning of February. So these are now ready. And you see a nice little bit of root growth on those, but they're not pot bound. And we've got 4 seedlings in each module, which is just fine.
So is this where we're planting the onions?
Yeah, and this is the bed that we previously had the carrots, and we had it interplanted with lettuces.
Okay.
So
Perfect. So are we going to prepare it first?
yeah, and because it just had carrots in,
Yeah.
and so carrots don't really need much in the way of fertiliser, this bed is not very well fertilised, so I'm just going to put a little bit of bloodfish and bone down, just a sprinkle. And then we're going to mulch it with well-rotted cow manure.
Okay. It looks like there's a couple left in this bed. Let's pull them out before we put them in.
So this about 2 inches here of well-rotted cow manure, and it's a lovely mulch and it's sterile, so we shouldn't get too many weeds establishing in it. And all we need to do is just dib our holes in here. I like to dib about 70 plants in a square metre, and these beds are about 2 square metres, so we'll work out what that means in a minute. It's per 70 seedlings per square metre, so we want to do 70 divided by 3.
Okay. 23.
Okay, so we're going to go for 25 modules per square metre.
Okay.
So we're going to do 5 by 5. So 5, find the centre, the centre, find the centre, and then 5 the other way. Find the centre, find the centre. So with onions, I like to give them a balanced feed, so that's why I gave them that blood, fish and bone, and that's kind of ideal because there's a bit of nitrogen in it which gets the onions started and gives them a lot of good leaf growth, and they don't start to bulb until about the middle of May, and by that time you want, it's quite good leaf growth on them, enough to support sort of rapid bulbing, but not too much nitrogen, otherwise you just get too much leaf growth. And so obviously we don't want that, because we want bulbs as well. And once we've got these planted, we're going to cover them with a bit of fleece, because there's still frosts in our future here, and the more frosts onion seedlings are exposed to, the greater the risk of them going to seed. So when I'm planting these, I like to plant them about an inch down, maybe a little bit deeper, so that they're just kind of at the level of the original soil and well below the mulch level. And the reason I like to do that is because I like to get the roots deep down where there's more access to water. But also I like these little depressions that I've created here, because these kind of trap the water as well, and again in a dry summer they improve the hydration of the roots. So we've got about 400 seedlings in here at the moment, and I'm just firming them in with 2 fingers like that. And I'll be thinning these down to 3 seedlings and eating the spares as salad onions in about a month's time. It's worth doing it that way, just because if any of them fail, then we've still got 3 seedlings. So it is going to rain tomorrow, but I am just going to settle them in with a little bit of water, because the rain is never as intense as a watering can. Netting it up now, keep them nice and warm, and particularly, just protect them a little bit from the wind. And we just pull it nice and tight. And then we'll clip down the sides.
So Dad, how tight does the net need to be?
I like to put it quite nice and taut, because when it gets wet it does sag down a bit.
Yeah.
And when I see the tips of the onions kind of pushing through the net, that's the point at which I'll take it off, which will be about mid-May. So do you remember Tess who said once these onions start touching the top of the net, it's time to take the net off?
Yeah.
So it's that time. It's been about 5 weeks. And there's no risk of frost now. And those are looking really nice.
They look great.
So you probably remember that I said we wanted 3 in each of these.
Yeah.
And right now we've got 4.
Yeah.
And these are a bit small really to take as salad onions at the moment, but if we were to take them out, you basically put your fingers around that and then just pull that one out.
Ah, perfect.
So we'll just do another one of those. Just put your fingers around the ones you want, just hold the compost down and then just pull it out. and then you eat them.
Amazing. How much do these onions need watering now at this stage?
They don't need a huge amount until they start bulbing. They're going to start bulbing sort of about the end of this month, so we're sort of middle of May at the moment. They'll really start to bulb a little bit in June. And I would probably give them, in my sandy soil, probably about a watering can per square metre.
Yeah.
And I'd do that every 2 weeks probably, if there's been no rain.